Day 54 of hiking the Appalachian Trail in 100 days. Still working my way through the roller coaster this morning, but I think I only have like 4 or so miles left of the roller coaster, so shouldn't be super bad. And so far this morning, the roller coaster has seemed easier. Part of that's probably because I'm doing it in the morning when it's cooler out. When I did most of it yesterday, it was like in the middle of the afternoon, so it's pretty hot. But I actually got kind of lucky overnight, I would say, because there was this guy at the shelter that was kind of a wacko, and I don't even know what he was doing. He said he's been hiking on like roads for the last few weeks. Not sure where he's coming from, but he's trying to hike on the AT now down to somewhere in the Carolinas, he said, to do I don't know what. But he doesn't really have like an actual pack. He just has like a backpack, like a school backpack, and doesn't really have a sleeping bag. He had like this tarp thing and doesn't really have much food. And he was just saying some crazy stuff. But there's these two other guys at the shelter that were like SOBO section hikers doing like a pretty big section. And before I went to bed, the one guy came over to me and was like, if I were you, I'd take my food down off that bear pole and keep it in my tent so that that guy doesn't steal it overnight, because he doesn't have much food and who knows what he's gonna do. I said, well, I was keeping a close eye on my stuff earlier, but I didn't think about that. That's like not a bad idea at all. And in the AT guidebook I have, there's like bear watermarks in the book that kind of show where there's more or less bear activity. And so I looked at that, and there weren't any of those bear watermarks for like 50 miles in either direction of where I was. I was like, all right, well, there's probably not many bears around here. There's definitely some, but probably not many. So I took my food in my tent. It wasn't really in the tent, it was just under the vestibule. But I had it off the bear pole basically overnight, and I had no problems. But then a quarter mile into the hike this morning, I saw a bear like 20 yards up the trail from me, and it started running away. So I was like, dang, that's a little sketchy given that I had my food in my tent last night, but it all worked out, so I guess that's what kind of matters. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with that guy, but today should be a little bit of a tougher day than I've had over the past week or two. Obviously the 4-state challenge was tough, but have about 25 miles and have the roller coaster here, and then not sure what kind of terrain is after the roller coaster, but I guess it should be a little bit easier. And just like 10 minutes ago, I got to this stream and it was flowing super nice. Had like actual cascades and everything, which isn't as common recently. So I stopped for a minute, kind of washed my face a little bit. That felt really good. And my shirt is kind of nasty. It has like salt stains basically in it from like the sweat. So I took my shirt off and like kind of washed it off some in the creek or stream. So hopefully it's a little bit less nasty now. And it definitely felt good to put that cool wet shirt on. So I passed this sign and didn't pay it much mind because usually they're not super accurate. But then I got to thinking, well, it might be. So I looked at the GPS location and I'm at mile 1197.4, which means yes, this sign is accurate. I do have 1,000 miles left to Springer Mountain in Georgia. So that's a cool milestone. Now I have less than 1,000 miles left and about a month and a half more of hiking to get there. About 11 o'clock now. Finished up the roller coaster close to 2 hours ago, I think. And it has been some easier terrain, but still some elevation gain. And just recently I kind of got up towards the top of this little hill. I still have some uphill to go, but I think it's pretty gradual. And the trail here is pretty smooth. Kind of out in this open meadowy area with less trees around. So got about 3 miles to a creek that should have some water. And if not, there's a shelter nearby that should have some water as well, where I'm planning to stop for the midday break. And then after that, I think it's just about 10 more miles to go to camp for the night. So it's a little bit before 2 o'clock right now. It is kind of hot today, but not super bad, I don't think. Stopped about an hour ago for my break and had my snacks, got some more water, and yeah, just trucking along today. The trail has been fairly smooth recently. Still have some ups and downs, but it's not too bad. I think the rest of the day should be around 200 feet of elevation gain per mile on average, or even a little bit less than that. So that's not really that bad at all. And most of it seems like it's pretty gradual, nothing super steep. So cruising along, and just have a few hours left for the day. I was talking to my aunt yesterday on the phone, and she said, watching the videos and comparing kind of my face from the beginning to now, she thinks I'm losing weight. And so trying to find opportunities to get extra food at this point, I think. So I might, in a little over an hour, try to go to a convenience store and get some more snacks there. I think it's a little over a mile, but from a few comments I read, it might be fairly easy to hitch a ride. So I mean, if I have to walk like a little over 2 miles round trip, you know, then I'm going to be off trail for like an hour. It's like 45 minutes of walking, and then 20 or 30 minutes probably at the store, which I'd like to keep it under an hour. So if I can get a hitch most of the way, at least one way, then I'll be able to keep it under an hour for sure. So we'll see how soon really I get there and what choice I make. But kind of feel like I should try to get some extra food, even if it does cost me a few bucks. So I did stop off at that gas station. It was about 1.2 miles, I think, of a walk on the road, which on the way there I did the whole walk. No one picked me up. There wasn't a whole lot of traffic on the road, but most of the traffic that I did see was definitely going the other direction. So there weren't really all that many cars that passed me when I was walking to the store. But that made me hopeful for the way back. And sure enough, I really only walked like 100 yards, maybe 200 yards down the road on the way back after I stopped at the store before I got picked up by a guy. So that definitely helped. I got some ice cream and some Oreos and Skittles, so not the most nutritious, but it's calories, and that's kind of what I was after. So I made it to the shelter a little bit ago, and this is the Jim and Molly Denton shelter. It's actually pretty nice looking. It has a little porch with some chairs, and it's got a pavilion here with a picnic table, which is great. And I also wanted to show my boots a little bit because they are pretty worn. As you can see, the seams are really coming apart here at the corners, and this one's getting real messed up here at the toe. And also part of the issue is the sole inserts here are getting real beat up. So this one's real thin at that spot, and this one has a few spots here that are real thin as well. So my boots are getting beat up, which is expected after 1,200 miles, but tomorrow afternoon I am getting a new pair of shoes, so that'll be awesome. The privy is over there, nothing special, but the cool thing, or one of the other cool things about this shelter, is there's actually a shower here, and it looks like there's a little like horseshoe setup as well. But the shower over here is pretty neat. I think it's like fed by a spring, so I think there's like a natural spring here, and somehow they have it set up to kind of siphon the water, I'm guessing, up into that barrel up there. And so I think right now that thing's probably full, and it's just kind of like draining the excess from the spring out that little pipe, is my guess. I'm no like expert in these kinds of things or really know what they're doing here, but I think there's probably a way that they're like siphoning the water up from the spring. And there's even a spigot here you can get water from, which you have to treat for sure. But yeah, there's a shower here. I mean, it's nothing special. It's just like a little space with a garden hose kind of attachment. But I think I'm definitely going to take a shower after I get finished with dinner. I ate some of my dinner, cooked some more, and now it's cooling. So there's no one else here. Initially I was kind of thinking about staying in the shelter just because it'll be cooler, but I'll probably just set up my tent and take the rain fly off, just because the sky looks pretty clear right now. So at least at this point I doubt we'll have any rain, so probably just take the rain fly off and let that cool me down this evening, and hopefully sleep well tonight. In the tent for the night, and I did take a shower, which was awesome and felt great. And I also kind of washed out some of my clothes a little bit in the spigot there, and it has cooled down quite a lot, so I put the rain fly on the tent. It's a little bit warm in here, but it'll cool down more in just an hour or two, I'm sure. So did 25.3 miles today, and after I got through the roller coaster, it really wasn't all that difficult. And so made it to the shelter, the Jim and Molly Denton shelter. Great shelter. Still no one else here, so that's kind of one of the perks of being southbound this time. You know, there's not really any Nobos around, and there's not really any SOBOs around either, so kind of get the place to yourself sometimes a little bit, which is cool. And it's at mile 1,219.8, so well under 1,000 miles to go, which is pretty exciting.